Coming up on this episode of The Peppinion, Bismo and Plum go on an adventure to the storage room. Hello, viewers. I've played Shift Happens about 5 hours now, and it's a puzzle platforming game. You play as Bismo and Plum at the same time, all the time, on the screen. So this game has a focus on co-op gameplay, and it's quite good at what it does with the co-op gameplay. All of the puzzles are focused around cooperative play, and both characters need to be doing something in the puzzle to complete it. It's very important. You can play single player, and I did play a little bit of that. However, it is pretty difficult to get your mind around controlling two different characters on the screen. I know from my personal life that I don't split myself into two characters often. I'm not made of jelly. So it is difficult for me to be split into two. But that's why it's difficult for me to use my brain to control two different characters on the screen at one time. It requires a certain level of splitting your mind up and trying to do two different actions at once. It is difficult. But the puzzles are extremely well done in this game. Like I said, they always require teamwork, and it's required all the time to have both characters in certain positions and to arrange them certain ways and to toss the other character. And you have to really work together because you can only be, one person can be bigger than the other, and that's where the shifting happens. You can shift into between a larger guy and a smaller guy. You're kind of sharing some jelly. And the shifting mechanic is used throughout on a lot of the puzzles. There's puzzles where you need to throw the small guy and then turn into the big guy. There's puzzles where you need to land on a pad that pushes the other player up with force, and you need to switch back and forth between the small guy and the big guy to get everything to work out correctly. It's a very interesting system, and I did not find it to be frustrating at all throughout. It is very clear and precise at what is happening in the game. It's the other person you're playing with that's the problem, okay? If they are going to be mean, they're going to grief you. They're going to be mean. They can turn on switches and kill you and throw you. And if you're in a small area and they shift, they will kill you. So try and pick someone that you'd like to play with. And maybe you're not that worried about the friendship because at the end of this, you might not be friends anymore. It's not as bad as Mario was for the Wii U, or the Wii, I guess. That 4-player Mario game. That was a complete, crazy game to play. It's not like that. It's not that level. It's less, but still you can grief each other. But the puzzles, yeah, I mean, you have plenty of time to solve the puzzle, but once you work out what you need to do, you need to actually enact those thoughts, and that can take, in some ways, some skill. I know that sounds a little weird, but you have to sometimes thread the needle when you throw the small guy. Sometimes it requires very precise timing. So I don't think that this is an easy game by any means. And I definitely think it requires skill at certain points. There's definitely some skill here that is, like I said, with timing and things like that, just things that you wouldn't normally be required to think about. It's not for new players to play, I think. You really need to be used to using a controller and platforming. When I was playing this, I definitely ran into some situations that were difficult because one person was just better at, had more experience playing puzzle platformers, you know? And so you kind of just ran into a situation where it just took a while to complete some of the objectives. And there are many different kinds of objectives. Getting to the end of the level is just one of them. You can collect these yellow orbs. You can also, and then when you die, the person can steal them from you before rezzing you, which is pretty funny. Then you can, there's like squares in the level you can do, and then there's also time trial. I did not play any time trial. I couldn't imagine playing any freaking time trials in co-op. That must be a nightmare. So hard. Yeah, so just in general, though, yeah, the game it's a lot of fun, and it is a really good level of challenge. And I mean, I ended up playing all weekend this last weekend because of just how much fun it was. It was just like, oh, do you want to play that game? Yeah, let's try and play it. It's a lot of fun. And so that's what I'd probably like to say the most of it. It's just a lot of fun, and it was a real solid game that you don't really get into a lot of trouble unless both of you die. And so usually you can keep it pretty safe and try things, and if only one person dies, they can res you, so it's really not that big of a deal. But yeah, and also I just really want to quickly touch on the artwork of this game. They didn't just keep it in a lab setting, which you are in a lab. They decided to skin the backgrounds with places like a forest or an ice cave. You can probably tell in the video that I'm talking over. But it's like it could have been really easy for them to just make it a lab the whole time and not worry about any of the extra art that they added here. But they obviously took time to create these backgrounds, and they're really nice to look at, and it really helps keep it interesting and mixed up. And I just want to give a shout out to that, not being lazy and doing it the right way and making it look really nice and making it more interesting for the player. It's really good. This game was in early access for over a year, actually. And if I didn't get a chance to follow any of the early builds or the flow of the game or anything like that, I didn't keep up with news about it. But if this is the stuff that can come out of early access, then that program has hope. This game is awesome. Now, I don't know if it's awesome because it came out of early access and had that time to develop. I'm going to be optimistic and say yes, that's exactly what happened. I would like to think so, because early access, it's a tough program, right? So a lot of games don't come out of it, and this game came out of it. It's really good. It's awesome, like I said, and I just want to say, great job coming out of early access. Congratulations. You did a great job, and it's great. It really is. So on a scale of 1 to woo, this game is awesome. And if you play co-op games with anybody, I really suggest trying this one out. It's solid. Yeah. So if you've watched this far, thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.